We move on to our next speaker to discuss the Bath Fringe Festival and how to get involved. Would you please welcome to the stage Steve Henwood and Wendy Matthews.
Hello. It's a bit of a double act, I'm afraid.
Without any jokes?
Without any jokes, and we haven't actually got a speech, we've just got some notes, so bear with us. But, okay, do you want to start?
No, you start, because you were there at the beginning.
All right. Right, well, the Bath Fringe Festival, as some of you may know, actually started in 1981. It was actually brought into being by the local council when they perceived that the International Music Festival was a little bit, not all-encompassing, shall we say. And they wanted somebody to put on something that was a bit more embracing of all the arts. And Bath Arts Association was formed. That sort of ran an event for the next 9 years, went up and down. It was actually not a true Fringe festival. It programmed everything itself, really. It sort of, towards the end of its life, in the 90s, early 90s, it sort of died a bit and was losing funding. At that point, myself and Steve and a group of enthusiasts thought, we can't let this happen. Let's carry on with the Fringe. So we managed to get some funding from the local council, not very much, to keep the thing going, really. And we got together a group of promoters and performers and venues in Bath who wanted to carry on Fringe. They were from all different disciplines. I mean, particularly interested in theatre at that point. Yes. So we took over. We got a lot of help from Arts and Business, and Ian Wood, who used to run the Bell pub in Bath, he put some money in. Arts and Business put some money in together, and we put on a really big festival in 1992. That had all sorts of things, and I can't, it's so long ago, I can't actually remember what was in that year, but it was theatre, music, dance, and at that point, Steve and I have an interest in street theatre, and I think the fledgling Street Theatre Festival, which is now Bedlam Fair, started then. So we took over as a co-op. We're still a co-op. We've been running for over 20 years, and we still have a very strong organisation. There's not quite so many, it's not quite such a collective of performers and practitioners as it used to be, and people have come and gone. Sorry, I'm stopped there, right? You carry on.
But I guess what we have, but yes, as well as performers and artists, we have involved in our management group. There are audience members. There are people who like the idea of there being a festival, and people who like what they see and would like more of it. And that's a very valid part of the festival and theatre communities. And this, what does this community? I don't think. Hopefully we don't need to explain the concept of a fringe as such. We're fairly open access. If anybody wants to put on a show, as long as they have the wherewithal, as long as they have a show, as long as there is a venue to do it in, we can talk about how we can help them promote that, about how being part of a festival with local, regional, national even profile can help get an audience to your show. That's really what the Fringe is for. So this means that our committee, we're not actually the programmers. We're there to help other people who have something that they want to do. That's not strictly true because we do a little bit of promotion ourselves, but that's always been as the idea of providing a core for the festival, or a flagship act, or the sort of things that can get us noticed by the local press, and then there's this on, but actually it's one of 200 odd, and sometimes very odd, events that you can see in Bath. So I think the Fringe Committee are kind of facilitators. They're kind of, and through having been around for 20 years, we've seen a lot of things tried, most of them successfully, and if someone comes up with an idea for a particular kind of production or a particular kind of concept, we probably know somebody who's done it before, or we may have done it. We may have done it before. So that kind of experience is useful. As we're a festival in Bath, what we mostly want to talk about are the places where theatre happens. And during our history as a festival, we've been involved with quite a lot of the buildings. I think both Andy and Ian have gone now.
Yeah,
Oh, there's Andy. I mean, if we go back 20 years, there was a circuit of fringe theatre in that case, meaning what gets seen at Edinburgh really. Yeah.
But not a lot of it appeared in Bath particularly. We did have one person on our board who was particularly interested in going to Edinburgh, getting shows and bringing them back and putting them on in whatever venues we could find. He actually put on quite a lot of stuff at the Rondo before the Rondo really became the Rondo. Also moved into putting stuff on at the Euston when it was the Theatre Royal Studio rather than the Euston. We did a whole series there one year. We also put stuff into Chapel Arts before it was Chapel Arts, before it was Windows, even a long time ago. And when we couldn't find a suitable venue, we created our own, and we managed to raise money quite a number of years ago for building a theatre in Green Park Station, 200 capacity, that had, it didn't just have theatre, we had Melon Sue before they were famous, for instance, and dance and tiger lilies and all sorts of strange things going on. But there was some theatre. I can't actually remember. I think there was some local. I can't. It's so long ago. I can't remember.
Motion House, maybe. Were they on
Maybe.
that?
And we had, even before that, we built a little theatre in the BRLSI, and one year, a couple of years, we've had theatre in the Guildhall.
Yes, I've forgotten that.
Yes. So stuff all over the place. And we still like to work with local theatres, but because there's now round a year Fringe theatre all year round in at least 2 venues in Bath, it's quite difficult to make the Fringe a special event. We're finding it more and more tricky to find venues in the city that we can invite companies to come and performing for the Fringe Festival. That's one of the challenges we've got at the moment.
Because a working venue, they've got a clear idea of what they want to do as a year-round programme. So for us to march in and go, actually for 2 weeks, forget about what you thought we were doing. We know some people that want to do something. That's not really fair, and it's not really sensible. In terms of running a venue year-round. Also, this points at another one of our dilemmas, which is that the kind of performances that we put on at those points weren't happening elsewhere, have become probably more. We were on the fringe, we were on the extreme. They've become more mainstream, particularly the involvement of the Theatre Royal through the Euston in those kind of performances, which left us feeling, well, this kind of performance is being very well dealt with elsewhere. Let's go and look for other things. And at that point, our always existing interest in street theatre or performance in unusual locations and so on, we thought, okay, well, let's do some more of this kind of work. And particularly at that point, we'd started going to festivals in France and Spain and seeing amazing things happening in the streets all over the place, so it seemed. We thought, let's try and do a bit of that in Bath, so that our energy in terms of things that we put time into ourselves, and particularly things into which we try and get other people to put money, has tended to move outdoors. Though it's always been part of our contention that people that work indoors should try working outdoors too, and we'd like to encourage a bit more of that. Where am I going on this?
Well, I think that also feeds into the other aspect of, it's not just outdoors, it's not just street theatre. In this country, you can't guarantee that you can work outdoors the whole time because of the weather. But we're also very interested in unusual events in unusual places. And last year, partly because we wanted to push this idea of theatre a little bit more, try and find somewhere where we could actually put on theatre during the Fringe. We decided, and we got at our open meeting, the Malcolm from the Old Theatre Royal came along and said, yes, we want some more theatre. So we decided to we had a new person on our board, John East, who some of you will probably know, who's a theatre director, who's not actually able to come today, but he said, yes, that would be great. And he put together a programme of theatre that happened in the Old Theatre Royal. And what was good, it's not really a theatre, but there was various events that actually fitted within the space. Having said that, we still found that it was very difficult to get audiences in to those shows.
Yeah.
But we are very interested. The one thing that did work was a show called 2020 Vision, which was a series of short plays, new writing, that was a promenade piece throughout the whole building that was coordinated by David Shopland, who lectures at Bath Spa University. Now that was brilliant because it fitted into this space. We've already got another company, a local company called Full Sail Theatre, local community theatre company, who also want to go and do something in that space next year. So there are opportunities there. It's looking outside the black box, basically.
Oh, that's the one,
So that's sort of where we are at the moment, where we feel a little bit apologetic here. We wanted to come and big up Fringe Theatre, but last year the audience has been declining. I think it's not just the Fringe, it's all over. Audience has been declining. We've been having difficulty finding venues. So what we want to do is throw out a bit of a challenge to people, you guys really, to sort of come up with some ideas. If you've got ideas, things you'd like to do in the Fringe, do come and talk to us. And if you've got ideas about venues, then come and talk to us. Our ideas will move on. We will be a bit more positive, and we'll find out more about what's going on over the course of the next few months, hopefully.
Yeah. So, I mean, we could talk just a little bit, for information's sake, about how you get involved in the Fringe at all, which is obviously the festival is at the end of May, the beginning of June. As an umbrella thing, our most important tool is our programme, of which that is an example of last year's. Our programme and our website, which takes time, which has got a lead-in time to prepare and so on. And we're generally doing this in the spring, which means that we like to know people's interest in being in the Fringe in, say, December, January kind of period, which is when we put out a call that we hope gets to everybody through whatever channels, and we have an open meeting to explain a little bit what we can do and what resources there are. And it's very easy to, well, hopefully whatever artistic media you read will tell you when that meeting is, or you can get onto our various mailing lists through our website and find out when that is. So yes, we like to know about potential shows in December to January, and it's at that kind of point when we can think, right, there's something in this show that we can help, or maybe we've been talking to a venue that is looking for something of that shape, of that possibility. It's very easy to say we have no resources, we have no funding, but other people out there do, and I say again, because we've been around for a while, we often have some idea of the right places to go, the right people to talk to. I like to think so.
Yeah. Yes, so there's an application. Well, the registration process, the deadline for information is in March, middle of March. Then we put the brochure together. It goes online in the middle of April, and the brochure comes out at the end of April. If you want to put a show on, it's good to get on our mailing list. We've got some cards, and we charge a registration fee, which is £50 per event, which we think is quite reasonable, really. For that, you get inclusion in 25,000 brochures and stuff on the internet, and as much of the marketing we can do. Unfortunately, we used to say, send us a press pack, and we can send it out to the press, And it seems that
Doesn't
the
seem to be a
press
press
has
anymore, yeah.
disappeared over the last year. Okay, we're still looking at electronic media and stuff. That's working. We had a really big Twitter campaign last year, increased our Twitter followers, and I think that's going to grow.
I mean, the reason to go back to our beginning, that we got together in a pub and say we can't allow the Fringe to disappear, is that we found it a really useful time and a really useful exercise to bring some attention into what happens in Bath, and also a good opportunity to bring stuff that we liked from other places to happen in Bath. And we think that's what a festival is for. And whilst there is a festival, there are many ways of taking advantage of it, we think.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're there for. There are very little rules beyond that, except it's a festival, come and join in.
Yeah, I think we've been a bit wrong-footed in a little way, because the things that we started off doing have actually got really popular. I mean, when we started, comedy wasn't even that, mainstream. So, sorry, there was a question there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm just talking about the Spiegel tent, and I just wondered, was the Spiegel tent booked by you? Was that a separate thing, and can people perform there, for example? Because that was roaring.
No, it is booked by us, and that was our 10th one, I think, the 10th year. And in fact, we brought that in 10 years ago because there wasn't a decent 300-seater music venue in the city. There is now. There's Comedia, but I think the Spiegel's tent still stands. It is possible. It's brilliant for music. I mean, we put mainly music, cabaret, comedy on. It's not ideal for theatre performance, but on the other hand, we have had some sort of more...
People like us, sure.
Yeah, people like us. Actually reading a script, and he's gone now. We had somebody reading the script, and a couple of other things. Yeah, so it is possible. It's basically we've got to cram them in there just to make the.
It's a rather expensive thing to book.
But I was going to say that we do have children's events, and we have and circus and theatre. So it works for that cabaret, circus, theatre, that side of things, which was another aspect of theatre that we haven't really talked about that we're quite into. So we're into all sorts of performance and not directly theatre. So possibly with the right, with the right proposal. Any other questions while we stop us rambling on?
Yeah, I just asked, anybody got any further questions about the Bath Fringe, etc., that has been spoken about over the last few minutes?
We can't have answered everything.
No, well, if you do want to get involved, if you want to put a show on, come and talk to us.
Yeah, we're easy to find.
Okay, would you please thank for me? Sorry, I've totally lost your names. There we go, Steve Henwood and Wendy Matthews. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Wendy. Is that your handbag?
Oh, yeah. Cheers.
Don't go without the handbag. I'd have had that.